Sorry. Okay, now we're recording. Can you hear me still?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So now that the tech glitches are done, hopefully, fingers crossed, and you couldn't hear all the cursing on this end, and yay, Ruthie cursed, so I don't feel like I have to, like, not be. I did take some notes here for any of you that are familiar with gems. I'm very much a sapphire, and everything is a squirrel. So I did take some notes here. So if you see me look down, it's because I'm referring to those because I want to try to stay as on track as possible. Because I don't want to waste your time or mine or anybody's, really. One of the things that I noticed as well, like you were just talking about, Ruthie, on my own team is, I mean, I had coaches who were just terrified to talk to people. They were like, Sunshine, I just don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. And the more that we talked and the more that we got to the root of the problems, per se, is that they had all this pressure, like they were looking at it business. And so you know that we are our own worst enemy in our minds if we're not careful, right? And so you'll sit there and you'll tell yourself, oh, I have to get Success Club, and this conversation, Success Club depends on this conversation right here. And if this conversation isn't a yes, then I'm not going to make Success Club. We tell ourselves so many different lies, really, at the end of the day, if we're not careful and aren't guarding our minds and doing our PD. And a lot of new coaches, like, let's just be honest, a lot of new coaches are not doing PD yet. They're just still trying to figure things out, right? And so what I did is I broke it down as, for conversations, as personal versus personable versus business, okay? So if you're having a personal conversation with someone, you're just shooting the breeze. There's not a point so much to the conversation as, like, you're just telling each other's life stories. There's no, like, rhyme or reason to it. You're not really trying to lead the conversation. You're trying to be more interesting than you are interested.
Right.
And we all know, like, that is the quickest way to get nowhere. Or I should say the longest way to get nowhere, because that conversation will go on forever and ever. And some conversations will go on forever before you get to a yes. So let's just be clear there. Stop putting all the pressure on the first conversation or the second conversation or the third conversation. I mean, if it's somebody that you know and you know well, and you know it's what they need, because the 15 other conversations you've had before, they complained about their joints hurt, they complained about needing to lose weight, they complained about how they don't feel like they have a purpose outside of being a wife and a mom. You know, that person, then yeah, you can approach that initial conversation of, you know what, we have talked so much about this, and I know that you're hurting in this area. And here is what I propose. And you can either broach them about coaching or you can broach them about a challenge group. Everybody else, it's not going to be like that. So don't think that the yes has to come in the first conversation, or that the first conversation even has to involve coaching. So if you're doing a personable conversation, you are catching up with someone. You know, you're having that one where you're either reconnecting, or maybe it's a new contact that you made on Facebook, and you're not sure how to broach that conversation with them. Now, I'll be honest, I'll go to somebody's profile and I'll find something on their profile that I can connect with. So if they just got a new puppy and I'm wanting a dog so flippin' bad right now, like I'm telling you, I want a puppy right now, like some people want babies, okay? I will tell them that they have the cutest puppy ever, what's her name, you know, when did you get her, how long did it take you to make, like I could have a conversation for days on that, but I'm asking questions. Also remember, in a personable conversation, you are going to make sure that you lead the conversation. Andy Johnson talks about the person asking the questions is the one controlling the conversation. So if that person is asking you 50 questions and all you're doing is sitting there and answering them, then you're not leading the conversation. So you want to make sure that you lead the conversation. And whether or not this one gets around to fitness or a clean eating group or a challenge group or coaching, a conversation will at some point. But it's not ever going to get there if you're not leading the conversation. So in a personable conversation, you are more worried about, and I say worried, but like, let's put that in air quotes, because we're not supposed to be worrying. Conversations should be natural. You talk to people every day. I don't even care if you're introverted. If you're introverted, you're at least talking to your family. So you have a conversation somewhere along the line, typically every day, right? It's natural. A personable conversation should be natural. It shouldn't have a bunch of pressure. You're not wearing your success club on your shoulders when you're having a conversation. You're not wearing your volume on your shoulders when you're having a conversation. You're not wearing the fact that, you know, in my case, I'm trying to get my son into a private school and I have to pay for it. Me, not my husband, me. You know, I'm not wearing that on my shoulders when I have a personable conversation. I'm trying to find out more about that person because somewhere along the line, they're either going to let me know or they're not a need in their lives. You'll have some people that just don't open up. It takes them like a year or two to open up. But most people will sit there and they'll let you know something that's going on with them that you have a way to help them with, whether it's a club membership, a challenge pack, coaching, working the business part-time, working the business full-time. Someone will give you an opening. But if you're not leading the conversation and asking the questions that matter, you know, if it's a mom, if you're not asking her if she's taking care of herself while she's working so hard to take care of everybody else, then you're not leading the conversation. So, like, ask those questions. Those questions aren't nosy. And if somebody says, you're awfully nosy, I tell them, no, I'm just actually curious by nature because I am. And if you're not, naturally, start working to get to be that way. Like, be like a kid where you just want to know everything. That's the best thing I can think of to say about a conversation. If you want to know more about that person, just be curious about them. Okay, I got to breathe. Sorry. For a business conversation, like I said earlier, you are wearing everything. You're wearing your rank. You're wearing whether or not you're about to fall out of rank. You're worrying about success club. You've got, you know, your focus is on your struggles, your worry, your stress, any anxiety you're feeling, any self-limiting beliefs that you're allowing yourself to believe in that moment. That's what a business conversation looks like. Don't have the business conversations. You can talk about coaching, you can invite them to coaching, but don't look at it like a business conversation. Let that be a natural evolution. Okay? If you focus on personable, not personal and not business. If you focus on personable, you cannot go wrong. Because when you focus on personable, people know that your heart is coming from a pure place. They know that you're actually interested in what they have to say and what they're going through and what they're feeling. I'm not saying be somebody's therapist because ain't nobody got time for that, okay? But I am saying care and be interested in what they have to say. Don't be afraid to have the long conversations. I have some coaches where they signed up like that first day that we talked. I have other coaches that it took them a year to get just in a clean eating group. Don't take that personally. Like, don't be afraid of having the long conversations. And by long, I mean, yeah, please do feel free to ask questions. By long, I mean drawn out over time. I don't mean like you sat there and you talked to that person all day for 4 days in a row. Because nobody's got time for that, and you're not working on building your network or anything else if you're doing that. But that is where the deeper connections are made. That is where you can see their need and how you as a coach can help them get that need met. And that is where you can find out their why. It all starts with their why. If they don't give you their why, if you don't know their why, you're building your business on quicksand. Don't build your business on quicksand. Build your business on a rock. If you have their why, you have the rock.
I love that.
Okay.
Oh, man, that's awesome. I really like that.
Okay. So if everybody wants to ask questions now before I go into inviting, then that's fine too. Like, however you want. Like, this is your call, so however you want to work it.
Yeah, does anybody have questions so far about conversations?
No.
Or what were your biggest, like Ronnie, I know this one was really tough for you. What was your biggest concern with starting conversation? Oh, you look exhausted.
I'm exhausted.
Is it just transitioning? Like, how do you transition from like, hey, how are you, to, hey, join my challenge group, I have something awesome to offer?
You know, I always feel like people always ask me.
That's good.
like, what are you doing? What do you do? What's that you're making, that Shakeology drink in the cafeteria at work? And I'm always like, oh, I have this great group, this great accountability group, and let me know if you're interested. And then I'll, message them or get in touch with them and see if they're interested, and then they'll never get back to me. And then I feel like I'm nagging them.
Well, you're not connecting with their personal why either.
Yeah. I was just going to say, you want people to approach you. If they're approaching you first, then you just won half the battle right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
for
just
sure.
you sitting there, tell them it's my daily source of getting all my nutrients in, because as a busy, are you a mom?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. As a busy mom, I don't have time to sit there and worry about if I've got every little vital micronutrient. Like, this is my insurance that I'm getting all this in right here, right now, and done.
But then that's
Not
about,
saying
that's not, that I feel like that's me trying to be interesting instead of being interested. Like, I try and talk to them, and, they're like, well, how do you do that? How do you work out every day? And I'm like, I have to because of blah, 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 and my own why. And why I work out. But they're like, oh.
You can tell that part, and then you can say, well, why do you feel like you need to? Because, if they're asking, then they obviously feel like it's something they need to do. You can say, because I have to, like, I have to happen because, and then your why, and then say, why would you feel like you need to work out every day? Or why would you feel like to start working out?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're attracting people who are no excuse type of people. Like Carol is very no excuses oriented, and a couple other of your coaches and challengers that I've seen, like in Team Fly, show up every day. So I feel like you're attracting the people that are ready to commit. It's just, how do you, like, you've got to make it so that you're able to connect with them on an emotional level. And that's when they're like, all right, I'm in. Like, once you get into that emotional why, and you're like, it's more than just looking and feeling good. There's something deeper in there. And once you connect with that and you get people to really open up and share that with you, there's no reason they're going to say no. They won't.
I have lots of people that are just, they're not ready to commit to coaching. They don't have the time. It's just not something that they want to do. I don't know. I guess I just have to work on getting their why.
And you've got to keep adding people to your network. Like, you can't just rely on the friends that you have. You have to constantly be growing and growing and growing and wearing and sharing. And I know you do that already. I see your pictures, I see your videos and stuff like that. So that's why, like, when you finish your program, it's so important to turn in your before and afters, because you get a free shirt, and that's free wear and share. And that helps you guys get people asking you questions. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking because that's what I'm here for.
No, it's fine. I was just going to say, like what Ruth was saying, like, just get to their why. Some of these women that are asking you are moms. You can even start by not answering the question with why you do it. You can say, well, you're a busy mom, right? And they'd probably say, yeah, because I have yet to meet a mom who's not busy ever. And then say, well, how do you feel when, how did you feel before when you worked out? And how do you feel now that you're not? Most people feel a lot better when they've been working out, and they'll tell you that. And then you can see what I'm saying, like, you'd be asking them questions before you answer theirs. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's the same thing like when somebody asks you the price of a challenge pack, and that's the first thing they ask you. You don't tell them it's $140 or $160 or $180 or $205 right away, right? No. You ask them, well, what are your fitness goals? Do you have any diet? Well, I ask this because I'm like the queen of this, but, like, do you have any dietary or physical restrictions that I should know about? You start asking them questions to get to what you need to know about them, so so that then you can better answer their questions with what they need to hear and know right now in this moment. And it's the same way when somebody asks you that.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I mean, I do tell them how much it is. I'm answering their question.
Yeah, but you don't have to tell them that right away. And
you got to stop that. And I don't mean that to be rude or blunt or what. I mean, maybe I do mean it to be blunt, but I don't mean it to be rude. People are never, listen to this, ever going to invest in challenge pack if they ask you the price way because you have not shown them the value yet.
Value. Yes, exactly.
So you need to ask questions first so you can get the correct answers, because maybe they're asking about a 21-day fix challenge pack, but they need to be doing Tai Chi because they really can't move like a 21-day fix, right?
Right.
So would be recommend at that point, no, because you've asked questions, whether or not you even need to recommend a different program, which is not going to cost the same as whatever's on sale this month. And that's not to be tricky or whatever. That's because you're meeting people where they're at. And you can't do that if you haven't asked them questions first. So if you're just blurting out the number, like the price, they're running the other way because you haven't shown them the value yet. Okay, the value is whatever program you end up recommending based on the questions that they've answered. It's the program. It's the bonus workout that they get. It's whatever, because some of them come with bands or whatever. It's whatever comes with that program. It's their 30 days of a meal that is super packed with nutrients. It's the support and accountability of a group who's going to be cheering them on along the way, and they're there to do the same. And it's you, and then, of course, me as your complimentary coach. You know, because you always want to add that in there because they are getting you, and you bring something of value to the table, whether you realize it yet or not. You do, because if you didn't, they wouldn't be reaching out to you. They would be reaching out to Ruthie or to somebody else. If you didn't bring something to the table, they would not be reaching out to you.
Oh, I bring value, baby.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
But you know that, like when you're having these conversations, you owning that. Not saying being conceited, but like, are you confident in that?
Ronnie, you're full of so much knowledge. Like anybody who gets you as a coach would be lucky to have, any of you guys, anybody who comes to you about a challenge pack, challenge group, coaching would be lucky to have you, because I know for a fact that I've set you all up for success the best I can. And I know you guys are all rock stars, and there's no doubt in my mind that you can't achieve your goals and be successful people changing lives. There's no doubt in my mind. So, I don't know. Does that answer your question though, Ronnie? Maybe that's the missing link. It's just like you're going straight to answering questions instead of explaining things. And I posted the scripts in the team page, and that's exactly what they do. Like, before I give you the details, let me explain to you what this is. Let me ask you more questions, because the more questions you ask, the better you're getting to know them on a different level, and you're going to be able to provide them with the best program challenge pack possible. And what if they have dairy sensitivity and you're offering them regular Shakeology instead of vegan Shakeology? You wouldn't know that if you didn't ask questions. So like Sunshine said, we have to be more interested than interesting. And I get the sense that you feel like that's kind of scammy. Do you feel like that's kind of slimy, Ronnie?
I mean, they wouldn't know how much it is. I mean, I get it. I get it. I can't really say it's scammy. I totally get the point of it.
Right.
That makes
then
sense.
It's just
when it comes to them.
Yeah. If you get it, then it's just, from that point, it's just a matter of doing it. It's not staying stuck in your head and just doing it.
Yeah.
You want me to go ahead and the invite?
Yes.
Turned off by all your questions.
Oh, did somebody have a question?
Allison.
Oh, yeah. Tell us.
what if they get turned off by all your questions that you're asking? I know you said to say that you're just an interesting person, but what if all the questions you're asking is like, you know what, I just don't want to do this if you're just asking too many personal questions?
I let people, when I start, the first few questions that I ask them, because I ask them, what are your health and fitness goals? What have you tried in the past?
Yep.
What did you enjoy that you did in the past? And do you have any health or any nutrition or fitness limitations that I should know about? And then I let them know, sorry for all those questions. I promise it's pretty easy. It's just the better that I understand where you're starting from, the better I can help you.
Right. I usually ask the same thing.
It's helping people.
I ask the same things, and like, even today, I asked this one woman like 12 questions. And I even asked her, like, do you drink coffee in the morning? Do you drink energy drinks? Do you take multivitamins or supplements? Like, do you have a support system? Do you eat out during the week? How much time do you have to work out? What's your biggest struggle? What's your problem area on your body? What do you want to get rid of? Like, and after I'm done, I usually say, like, I know that's a lot of questions and I probably sound really annoying, but I give real and honest recommendations to everyone. So please take the time to give me honest answers so I can find you exactly what you need to fit your goals, because I don't want to waste anyone's time. And if you tell them that and you're real and honest with them, they'll respect you and your time because you're respecting them and their time.
I have no.
Oh, Catherine, I don't know about Ruthie, but I ask all my questions at once so that they can answer me at once.
Yep.
I was asked one at a time when I started, and I lost everybody. So I said, screw it, I'm sending it all at once, and whatever will be, will be. And that's when people started responding.
So all those questions, can you send me a list of all those questions, or is that in the script?
Yes, I will. It is in the script on the Google Drive. If you click on the Google Drive I posted last night or Monday night.
I don't ask all the Ruthie asked.
Well, I'm just following Brooke.
Yeah.
So I took a lot of like her ideas, which she got from Anita Myron, and Anita's scripts are just crazy. But she just formatted them to herself.
The Google Drive, like in the file section?
I just tagged you in it. But we have 10 minutes left, so do you want to talk about inviting?
Sure. Okay. The easiest thing to say, the simple, or I should say the simplest thing I can say is when it comes to inviting, get over yourself. Like, and I mean that with all the love in my heart, but really get over yourself. And the reason being is if you're all in your head about you starting to worry about whether or not they're going to say yes or no, you're making it all about you. And then it has nothing to do with them. And coaching isn't all about you if you haven't figured that out. I mean, yes, you have to be a product of the product. You have to practice the 3 vital behaviors, and that is all about you. But when it comes to coaching, it's not all about you. So when you start to worry about all that stuff, you stop making it about them and finding out more about them or meeting them where they're at, and you started to make it all about you. So just get over yourself and get that out of your head. Remove all personal feelings from it. I want to tell you a story, and this is not my own personal story because another coach told this to me, but I was like, dang, like that's perfect. If you were to invite another, say you're going to SeaWorld and you're all excited, right? And you invite one of your friends and their family to come, and they say, I can't right now, for whatever reason, right? Are you going to be all butthurt that they said no? Probably, right? I did have one coach who was like, well, it depends on how many, because I said it won't stop you from inviting them again. And she was like, well, it depends on what their reasons were and how many times I asked them. And I said, you know, really? Because you don't always know what's going on with someone else. You don't know when something in their life is bad and happening and they're just not telling you about it. You don't know when something has changed in their lives and they're ready now. So you should always go back and ask, and you should always go back and re-invite. Because like with me, if you had asked me in October, my friend died, so I'd have told you no. If you had asked me in the past 3 weeks, I had 3 people die in 3 weeks. If you'd asked me to be a coach then, if you'd asked me to get a challenge practice, if you'd even asked me about the club membership, I would have told you, like, no. And if you'd have pressed it, I'd have told you to go yourself, because I was grieving. Nothing to do with nothing, right? I mean, I still worked my business, whatever, but I would have told them no. And they might not have known why. Okay? So always go back and always invite. Even if you think that they're just blowing you off, because again, you don't know somebody else's situation. It's one of the things like when somebody commits suicide and we didn't see it coming, because you don't know what all is going on in a person's life. You just don't. You can assume, but you really don't know. So always go in and ask. Always go in and give the invite in your conversations, right? Show no fear. Like, I know that sounds like, you know, a military term or whatever, and I am former Army, but it's not about being like militant or whatever. If you're fearful in your invite, 99.9% of the time, it's because you didn't do the work in the conversations to get the why. If you did the work in the conversations, if you did the work in building the relationship, then you should be confident in your invite. And you're not going to be fearful if you're confident, because you already know their why. You already know where they're coming from. And somebody might say no to coaching right now, or they might say no to the challenge pack because they don't have the money, but we have the club membership now. So you can always meet someone where they're at. I mean, do we want them to coach? Yes. That's the other thing. Don't be desperate to have everybody and their grandmother be a coach on your team, because I found that out the hard way last year. When you do that, you end up with people on your team that you don't want, and you want them to leave. And thankfully mine did. But I'm being 100% honest. Like, you don't want somebody who's negative all the time to be in your team group and just spreading a bunch of negativity. You just don't. Oh. So I saw the little kid. Sorry, squirrel. Kids are always squirrel. Sorry, that's just the way it is. But invite where you feel comfortable to invite, where you know that that's the place to invite them to. If it's a newer relationship and you're not comfortable yet to invite to a challenge group, invite them to a clean eating group. Make that your first invite, you know, and then transition from the clean eating group to the challenge group, or transition from the clean eating group to the coaching group. If that person was a natural coach in your clean eating group, you can broach them about coaching from the get-go. So invite where you see that's where that person should be. And that's where they would fit in, or that's where you feel comfortable inviting them to in that space and time.
I like that. I love that. And just so you guys know, there's alternate ways of inviting. So you can make an invite post like I did last night. You can make one big post, and that could be your invite for the day. You could send out 5 individual invites. And you can also make a video. You could make, I just feel like there's different ways of inviting people, but we should always be hashtagging coach life and talking about things, and then always inviting.
And referrals.
Always, when you make posts on your page, like leave a comment below if you're interested, and tag a friend to join you. Like, that's a really cool thing, and I've seen a lot of coaches do that. And I've also seen a lot of coaches make videos and say things like, you know, I'm only interested in people who are serious, who are ready to commit, and who are willing to invest in themselves, because really we don't want to enroll anybody in anything other than a challenge pack. I personally always offer that first, and then if they don't say like yes, then I think it just depends on the person, but I always help them anyways. But 90% of the time I say, when you're ready, find me. And the other 10% of the time I'll say, okay, let's think of something else. It just depends on the person's situation. If I know that based on previous experiences or conversations, if they're making excuses or they're just they really can't do it. So I think it depends.
Yeah. And he's 5 on 10 now. Amy Silverman did a really great video about I forget if it was like how to lose $800 or how to something. It was something about $800, and it was basically $800 a quarter. If you had 50 people that said no to you for a challenge, enroll in Beachbody On Demand, then you would get $800 a quarter for those people in commissions. So like, something about how to lose $800, or I don't remember the actual title of it, but there was something about $800 in the title. And it's true, because at the end of the day, as a coach, you're here to help people. You're here to meet them where they're at. And if you tell somebody, well, here's the thing that you run the risk of doing, you tell people to come find you when you're ready, they might not come and find you, because they might be like, well, you weren't willing to help me when I was like down on my luck. You know what I mean? Whereas if you're down on your luck,
Yeah, and if they're down on their luck, you can always send them the free clean eating ebook too. Have them sign up for On Demand. I think that's what you were just saying.
They can sign up for a player membership, and at least at that point you're their coach, and they have access to you to some degree, and you have access to them as well. So those are the things that. Oh, sorry, I just saw your thing that you get better response when you ask one time.
Okay.
That's because that's a lot of questions.
Did you have any closing remarks about anything?
All of it really should be a natural process, and not because I'm skilled, whatever. Because a conversation is just that conversation between two people. An invite is just, you know, when building a relationship with someone, because remember, this is a relationship building business. If you're not doing that, then you're doing the business wrong. I don't mean that like in a mean kind of way. I just like matter of fact. It's about the relationship. So if it's not the relationship, then no. The conversation isn't going to be natural, and neither is the invite. But if you're building a relationship with someone, the conversation will be natural, and 99.9% of always happens. Something in our conversation, and all an invite is. I don't have a challenge for So, I mean, really, at the end of the day, don't be scared of it. Just build a relationship and then let it come naturally, because it will. If you're focused on building the relationship and having the conversations, the rest will start to become natural.
Yes.